Today we have Cassie on the phone from Missouri. Cassie, what's going on?
Hi, Roman. I am calling you today because I found out recently, little by little, my ex-husband stole a lot of money from me.
What happened? Walk me through the story. What's going on?
In 2022, I had found out that he had been hiding a meth addiction from me and
Okay.
was stealing from our shared money to fund that meth addiction for a few years. And I'm basically starting over after that, got left with a whole hot mess.
Okay. So I'm assuming that pretty much everything was looking good until that point. How did you even discover that meth addiction? I mean, it's not something that arises like this. What was the discovery behind this?
So he did a pretty good job at hiding it while I was pregnant and taking care of our infant child.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Pregnant with his
and
pregnant with his child?
yes, yes,
Okay.
and I found out about it when he had a bit of a psychotic break due to meth.
Okay, so you realize that. What's the financial landscape that you find yourself from this? Because you mentioned he stole thousands of dollars from you. Walk me through what was going on then.
He was just slowly draining our bank accounts. We had joint accounts that we paid bills from. We had savings that our tax returns went into. And I just noticed that it was starting to go down. And after he left, I was suddenly responsible for all of the expenses. And I didn't have that budgeted. I was budgeted for two incomes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up left with a lot of credit card debt because I had no savings. He stole all of it.
How much did he stole from you?
Probably about 8,000 total that I'm aware of.
Tell me a little bit more about how you ended up confronting your husband when you discovered his addiction and the cost that it had on you and your family, pretty much.
I wanted to try and make things work to try and help him get clean. Unfortunately, meth made him a very nasty person, and it ended up just blowing up in my face. And I just had to step back and realize you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help himself.
When you said $8,000 that was stolen from you, how did you calculate that money?
We had sold a shed for about 3,000. We had a tax return for a couple of thousand, and our savings account at one point had about 3,000 in it.
And then all of that disappeared
Yeah,
in a matter of how much time?
about a year and a half to 2 years. I don't know exactly when he had started. He did a very good job hiding it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And getting out of that relationship was difficult?
Logistically, it was difficult just to untangle finances and paperwork. Um, he was happy to leave. His uh, meth hallucinations had him thinking that I was a very evil, bad person. So it didn't take much to tell him to get out.
Have you been in contact with him since then or no?
Unfortunately, yes. Because of our child, he has been clean that I'm aware of for about a year now. And so he is able to have custody as part of our divorce agreement because he is staying clean right now.
Where are you finding yourself today?
It's kind of just become very chaotic since then. And I'm finding myself in the house we bought when we were married a while
Okay.
back.
Nice.
And the house is a whole hot mess as well. It was built without a permit sometime in the mid 70s,
Oh, no, no.
poorly maintained with very bad DIY work for the last however many years. and then neglected for a few years due to my ex's meth addiction.
Were you participating in any of it on your own, or you've stayed clean on your side?
Oh, totally clean. I don't touch any of that.
Okay, and so you guys then had that house. When the divorce arose, you were left with the house. What was the deal then?
He wanted to sell it right away to cash out on the equity. I recognized at the time that there were some serious issues due to the neglect and the poor DIY work. And I had noticed it from the beginning. I noticed some cracks that seemed a little odd, and there was water flooding in the basement in the garage, which is part of the basement. And I knew that selling it in that condition was going to be difficult. I opted to stay in the house to fix it, but also I just wasn't in a good place to move at the time due to childcare and my job, that it was just easier for me to stay put.
Hold on the fort. Most people start their day scrolling through social media, trying to piece together what's happening in business and finance. I would waste about 20 minutes scrolling, still confused. And now I open my email, and in 5 minutes or less, I'm pretty much caught up with Morning Brew. It's a free daily newsletter that breaks down the biggest stories in business, finance, and tech in a way that feels like I'm talking to a funny friend and not actually reading a textbook. In fact, speaking of finance, I know you guys are interested in that, and so am I. This morning I was reading a story about someone that was able to retire at 45 years old with $350,000. It was clear, quick, and it actually makes me laugh sometimes, which is not something I can often say about news. Over 4 million people already start their day with Morning Brew, and I get it why. It's free, it takes less than 15 seconds to sign up. So click in the description below or scan the QR code on screen and join me in starting your mornings with Morning Brew. Tell me a little bit about your job as a transition here. How old are you right now, Cassie?
I'm 36. I'll be 37 soon.
36, you have one child?
Yes, just the one. He is 4.
What do you do for a living?
I am a grant manager at a university.
How much do you make per year?
I actually just got a raise.
Congrats.
We do a merit raise generally every year. And from that, I'm at about $5,000 a month.
Net in your pocket?
No, that is gross. After tax, it ends up being about $3,900, but that also includes deductions for insurance. And
so you pretty much make around 60,000 per year.
Yes. Sorry, I should have mentioned I also bartend on the side, and that brings me about another $800 net a month.
Wow. Okay, so about 70. Let's put 74,000 total per year. How much is the house worth today?
The house, it was appraised for about $250,000.
Why would you guys buy that house knowing that it was not even permitted? What happened?
Long story short is, when you're working in real estate or working with a realtor, don't work with family.
What happened there?
I got a pretty bad deal, and our realtor had hired a friend to do the inspection that brushed off a lot of concerns that I had brought up, said they were fine. So yeah, I unfortunately didn't get a whole lot of say in living in this house. Not only was my ex a meth addict, he was on the abusive side, not violent, but very controlling. So I didn't get a whole lot of say in living here, but I'm stuck with it.
Okay, so today you're stuck in it. You've kind of built some equity from it because you're still carrying a mortgage. The house is valued at $250, but probably $225 actual value if you were to sell it, if it's sellable. How much is your mortgage on that house?
My mortgage, I have about $154,000.
Okay, so you have about $65,000 of equity or so, would you say? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, what's then the ultimate question that you're asking yourself today? Why are you calling me?
I do have to move out of this house next summer as part of the divorce agreement.
Okay.
And I do at that point want to do a house hack and purchase a duplex.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to live in one side and have a very dear friend live on the other side.
Okay. That is nice.
It's not going to just be a spit handshake agreement. We'll make sure to do paperwork. I'm planning on getting possibly an LLC to
Mm-hmm.
run all of it through, which I have learned from your show, actually. So I appreciate that. And when it comes to this house, I have talked with a realtor, and she mentioned I could still keep this house and rent it out.
You would be quite leveraged, I would say, though. But we can think on that because you mentioned as well
Yeah,
that you have quite a bit of credit card debt, don't you?
I'm down to one credit card,
How much is left?
about 11,000. It does have a $30,000 limit, though.
Okay. Okay. 11,000. You know the interest rate on it by any chance?
I believe 24 ish.
Okay. So, I mean, it's a $200 interest per month payment that you're making. How much savings do you have before we try and help the world? We have to help ourselves. You're paying, thousands of dollars per year right now of interest. What savings are we speaking on you?
Probably about 3,000. And next week, I have to replace the garage doors that stopped working in the
Mm-hmm.
spring. And that's going to be about 1,300. So I'm going to end up with about probably 1,500 left in my savings.
And you have a child. Is your husband or ex-husband, is he paying any child alimony, any financial help for the child that you guys have?
Nope.
Okay, so you're pretty much on your own there.
Yeah.
Have you been increasing your credit card debt over the past couple of months?
No, I am very proud to say that in 2025, I have not added to my credit card debt.
How much are you spending on a monthly basis?
About 4,000.
So you're mentioning you make about 4.7 thousand, so about 700 of savings or so per month. Does that seem realistic?
Yes. Yes.
And I was going to ask you as well, in terms of your employment, are you pretty much in a safe spot? Is that a pretty much guarantee employment in ways? Nothing is guaranteed, but you find yourself there for a sustainable amount of time?
I believe so. I've been already been at this university for a few years now, and if anything happens to where more and more research gets cut, my boss has assured me that she will find ways to make sure I still have something to do.
Okay, it's good news. So
Yes.
here is my train of thoughts, my friend. I think that right now is the time for you to not over leverage yourself. And what I mean by that is, in full transparency, the story of the friend that's willing to rent from you but doesn't have money for a down payment, rents to own, you have to leave the house in about a year from now. I'm not really liking this situation at a first glance. Right now, I feel like the goal is really for us to get yourself back on track. Get back on track. I feel like you're wanting to help a lot of people, but you're a mother of, one child that's still pretty young. You can't really, find help through other paths other than actually right now, pretty much the safety of your employment. If I was in your shoes, I would try and do as much as you can to get that house ready and get out of the contract that you had with your partner. Get this moved on, past, and I don't want for you to have any ties with your ex-partner in any way financially. This has full benefit from all the efforts that you're putting into restoring that house, especially if it's not investing a dime. On top of that, we don't know really how this house is gonna continue and evolve over time. I would just make sure that you're protecting yourself when you're selling that house by making sure you're compliant with everything that's necessary for it to not bite you back by the buyer a few months or years down the road because of something that you've hidden. That's the biggest thing. because you're putting yourself under a little bit of liability here if something was to arise. So my recommendation for you would be to, as pretty much, I guess, as soon as possible, to get that house on the market, compliant, while you potentially move. If I were you, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that I would buy a duplex yet. I would move with your child into an apartment for at least 6 months to a year to give you enough of a flexibility with how you're going to approach your duplex purchase. I really, really enjoy the idea that you have with buying a duplex and house hack, meaning you're going to be renting half of it if you already have someone that's willing to do that. But I would want for you to have a stronger financial position first before you jump into another project.
Okay. That makes sense.
So we need to take care of that credit card debt one way or another. What is your credit score right now?
My credit score, I believe, is about 750.
So you have to tell me, why right now haven't you considered opening some sort of new credit card that has a 0% interest rate, where you can do a balance transfer that's going to cost you 2%, transferring those funds so that it gives you a little bit of breathe way to tackle that debt? Why haven't you thought about that yet?
I don't know why I haven't thought about that.
Okay, so that's going to free you about $250 a month or so. This is something that's going to go towards setting up that house sale for success. So here are the first few things that I would want for you to work on. Number one, tonight, try and find a way to find a balance transfer, 0%. It's going to be a 3% fee on the transition, but that doesn't mean that you should forget about that debt. We're just getting it outside of its 22% interest. Number two, I would want to try and maximize as much as you can your emergency fund, especially now that you have a child. The goal is for you to have at all time, no matter what, $5,000. I know that you can probably do it by ways of reducing the spend that you have on a monthly basis. Given your mortgage and some of the other expenses that we've discussed together, running at $4,000 per month to me seems a little bit heavy in the place that you live. So find ways in your spending to save some money. Sometimes the rule when wanting to build a financial foundation is not always about creating new income. You're already doing with bartending, you're already doing it with your job at the university, but it's finding ways to be more efficient in your life. Review your membership, review your subscriptions. Don't fall to the instant buy, short-term satisfaction, or impulse buy. Here's a few rules that you can put in place to help you with that. One, if you have a big purchase that is higher than $50, consider a 48-hour delay in when you are going to make that purchase, okay? So you acknowledge that you have this impulse wanting to buy something. Give yourself 48 hours before you actually make up that purchase decision. Okay, that's number one. Number two, consider right now you're still fairly young, but you have a young child as well that's going to need you more and more. And it's not with $3,000 of savings that we can find ourselves confident in his growth and education. Every month, every dollar that you spend right now to you has a factor of about 7. What I mean by that is when you think about buying a $10 latte at Starbucks or whatever at the university cafeteria, it has a factor of 7. So a meal that costs you $10, you should think of it actually costing you $70 because that's the value of money to you right now. You are in that period that I like to refer as the golden era. What I mean is you have low savings, but potential. And so every single dollars that you have right now needs to be seen as gold. It is precious. You cannot pull away from it because you're running so short of a fine line. So implement that system of a factor of $1 is actually worth $7. And to you, hopefully, that's going to help you to wash through some of the little spend that everybody does at all time. Because again, we are trying as much as we can right now to spike up to $5,000 of savings. And then every excess goes towards making that house compliant so that hopefully by the next 6 months, you can move out of here, of that house, okay? You find a little 1-bedroom apartment of somewhere where you can stay until all the finance are regulated, the contract with your partner is done, and move on. And then you're finding yourself in a market where you can consider buying then a duplex. But I wouldn't jump right away from a project to another with running so thin on every single metrics, and especially the fact that you're carrying high debt.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea, and I think I definitely needed to hear that.
All right. It was a pleasure to have you. I wish you a great rest of your week, and I see you next time, Cassie, okay?
All right. Thank you so much for your help.
See you. Bye. And that, guys, is how we do it. Another story, another finance disaster. I see you on the next one. À bientôt.